and welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're talking about sci-fi horror, specifically, what are we talking about? Annihilation.
Annihilation.
And Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. Yeah, but sci-fi horror in general, because we'll probably dip into others and what have you. Because it's October. It's time for some horror movies.
Yeah, spooky time.
Mm-hmm.
So, full disclosure, a few weeks ago we had Tony and
Logan.
Oh my god, I really don't know what's wrong with me. With Tony and Logan on the show to talk about horror movies, and Event Horizon came up. I think I brought it up.
Yeah, because it was on my list at the time. It was my number 5.
But I brought it up before you mentioned it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a completely different movie.
Yes.
And I also didn't watch it in preparation for today.
Yeah. Like a professional.
I did watch Annihilation though.
Yes.
I have lots of things to say about Annihilation.
Yeah.
I did watch reviews for Event Horizon.
Yeah.
So I know some things.
Sure.
But I thought Event Horizon was... What was the other movie?
Pandora.
I thought that was Pandora.
Yeah.
And I think I was mashing the two up.
Yeah. And I almost suggested Pandora for this watch, but I don't have a copy of it. And so Event Horizon, I thought... And I had mentioned Event Horizon. It came up in our previous episode, so I thought we'd just go with that.
Yeah.
But
so, yeah.
Maybe we should have watched 3 movies, because then we could have figured out the confusion.
Maybe I should have watched Event Horizon.
Yeah.
So I think I saw it 10 years ago.
Yeah, because it came out
and my memory isn't good when I watch things recently, so this will be interesting.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah. What do you want to start with?
Well, we could start with the movie, just because Annihilation is newer, we could start with Event Horizon and then move on to something newer where you've also watched it.
Yeah, they're like 21 years apart.
Yeah, it's crazy. Event Horizon's 1997. I remember seeing it in theater. Apparently I was one of the few that did, because it did not do well in the box.
Yeah, it was an expensive movie to make and it didn't do well, and it didn't do well critically or commercially, correct?
I don't know about the review side of it, but definitely box office wise it didn't do as well as I guess they were thinking. It was also released in the summer. It was in August. It was crazy to think that movies like this nature, even The Thing, it's like a horror movie, it was released in the summer.
Really?
So it's like movie attitudes have changed enough that it's like, okay, we shouldn't release a horror movie in the summertime.
Yeah.
Right? Or they maybe didn't think it was going to do as well. There was some clashes with the director, which I was going to get to.
Because the director also directed Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
And from what I understand, he wanted a much gorier movie than what happened.
Yes.
And there's, spoilers, whatever, it's a 21-year-old movie.
Well, I guess before we get into everything, we should at least talk a little bit about what it is.
Okay, wait. I just want to finish my thought.
Okay.
There's this scene where you get flashes of the crew mutilated.
Yeah.
And apparently that was like full sequences.
Yes.
And that's why those shots are some of the best looking effects in the entire movie.
Yeah, they spent the money there.
Yeah, and then they cut them.
And then they cut it, yeah.
So already you know it's going to be a great movie.
Yeah. So, this really shocked me when I first started to watch it on this viewing, is I didn't realize it was an hour and a half long, and I was like, wow, that seems really odd for a movie like this, where they could have used a little more time to build in some scenes, which is then, when doing my research, I discovered half an hour was cut from the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Event Horizon's about a rescue crew, and they go to find this ship called the Event Horizon that was built by Sam Neill, and its purpose, it basically has like a black hole drive, and it was the first of its kind, and it disappeared 7 years ago, and it's back. So they send out a crew, Lawrence Fishburne and co, to go figure out what the heck happened.
So we have Morpheus and Dr. Dinosaur.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
In space.
And so they go to figure out what the heck happened. They get to the ship. It's all abandoned. It's very dark lighting and shadows and everything. It's outside of Neptune.
Which I just fucking hate.
You know what? I really like the one scene when they're on the ship and they're walking around and they're in the bridge. And there's like a flash of light, and then you just see all this gore and viscera behind the character, and she's like looking the other direction. And it's like hidden in these alcoves, right? You haven't seen it recently? There's all this gore.
That did seem like something that would be in the movie.
Yeah, it's all,
so I'm going to choose
gore.
to believe you.
There's all this gore and like these skulls and everything like that, but it's all hidden in these dark alcoves that she doesn't see, of course. And I was like, man, a little more of that could have been really good to build the tension in the movie, which again, maybe was all cut. So,
yeah. You know what? Oh, sorry. I'll let you finish your summary.
okay, yeah. So they go on the ship.
Then I'm gonna say something.
And then basically the premise is that the ship went through like a realm of chaos or hell, as they define it.
So they went into the hell dimension.
They went to hell dimension, and the crew all killed themselves, and the ship is essentially possessed, and then it possesses the crew. They start seeing things and etc. And then Sam Neill goes nuts and then becomes like the movie monster, and then
he cuts his eyes out.
Gores his eyes out in a great scene, and then
he's sad because his wife died.
His wife committed suicide, not just died.
Oh, so maybe she's the ship.
Well, the ship's personified through her in the film. Yeah,
I know.
Yes, and then Sam Neill goes on like basically a killing spree, or the ship goes on a killing spree. Like it lures one woman in, lures with her son, and like lures her into a falling shaft, because it's like, why would you not see a giant shaft? Because movie.
Yep.
Basically. Yeah. And and at the end, Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne end up going through he activates the gravity drive, and then they go, but some of the crew escape.
Right.
And then the film essentially ends.
Yeah, but then the door closes, and then people are like, "Ooh, the ship's alive."
Yeah, well,
is
it still possessed? Because they escape in the front half of the ship, which is like a lifeboat.
Yeah,
it's got like gravity couches and etc., so they can be in suspended animation. And then the final shot is one of the characters wakes up, and then Sam Neill, like a rescue guy's opens his helmet. It's in Sam Neill's face when he's all held out, and then she just starts screaming, and then it cuts, and then they're like, "Oh no, it's okay, it's just the rescue squad," and then the ship doors close, and then it's like, "Oh, are they possessed? Or are they not?
Are they just crazy?
Or are they just crazy?"
So here's a thing.
Okay.
I think this movie would have worked better as a limited series that was made in today.
Yeah. They could take the concept and make it and run with it today for sure, like in a 5-6 episode thing.
Yeah, that's what I think. On HBO.
Yeah,
or whatever. Give them a lot of money. Let them be gory.
Yeah, or I was gonna say, because like I said, like half an hour was cut from the film, and it was mostly the gore stuff. There was a few story elements that were cut. Like I got some notes here about it. But it was like they could still have kept some of those story elements or expanded on some of the exploration stuff and still cut down the gore to not get the NC-17 rating that they got initially.
Yeah.
Right?
I just feel like if it was like a Netflix series or HBO or whatever, and they had like 6 to 10 episodes, they could really build the tension.
Yeah.
And they could even spend like an episode per character.
Well, and that was just it. Some of the backstory stuff was some of the stuff that was cut.
Right? Yeah.
And it was like, so you would learn more about like why this guy, because one of the characters, Justin, he goes into like the gravity drive black hole for like no reason. He just is like, I'm going to investigate. Apparently there was explanation that was cut.
Well, why would you need explanation when you could have none?
Yeah. Well, and the movie, it's specifically done, it was either Anderson or the effects guy. They created, because initially it was supposed to be like just a black hole as the drive.
Yeah.
But then they created this cool 3-ring circular thing.
Yeah, it does look cool.
That's all like lit and everything, and they took direct inspiration from Hellraiser, from the cube to make that rotating thing.
There was a lot of don't they also have a line, they like have the almost, we have such sights to show you lines in there somewhere.
Yeah, Sam Neill talks a lot about that, about going to hell with them, essentially.
Hey guys, want to go to hell?
Hey guys, it'll be fun. Yeah, no, very much that, like you said, there was some inspiration from there. There was also a scene where I'm kind of mad they cut it, that was directly inspired from The Exorcist, where Sam Neill was apparently like spider crawling down a ladder towards two of the people later in the film after he's all messed up and stuff, and I was like, why was that cut? That would have made the scene make more sense, because you haven't seen it. I
have seen it. I don't remember everything, and I also remember things from other movies.
Right. So. No, there was a scene where like this vat just fills with blood for like no reason, and then it breaks.
Okay.
And then showers and like at one of the characters.
Is that supposed to be like
Sam Neill's supposed to be in it, and then he like breaks out. And then starts chasing her. That
makes more sense. Otherwise, it's like, is that like a Shining homage?
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how it's almost depicted now. But it would, if there was Sam Neill in there, and then he starts spider crawling on the ceiling after her, you're like, oh no, that's creepy.
Yeah.
So that was apparently another thing that was cut. So yeah, the main thing that was really cut though was the blood orgy scene, essentially, that you get a little bit of in a video monitor. This you might remember.
They have a blood orgy scene?
This was the scene.
I would watch it for that.
This was the scene that would really cause a lot of problems. Because basically, so parts of it are still in it, like where some people are gouging themselves out. A female member is like sodomizing someone with an iron pipe. But then there was even more where they had people getting like beaten on their legs or arms when they were crawling away, and then more people getting like, one person was getting like screws put into their teeth. Another person was getting one person was getting their, a woman was getting her breasts like mauled and ripped off. Another one was having, again, more like pipes being beaten in their arms and stuff like that. And what they did is they got amputees to play these characters so they could like literally just like wail on the fake parts. And that's what made it look so real to the test audiences and the producers of the movie. Let's see, so that whole scene got essentially just slashed.
That's not really an orgy.
Well, apparently there was also, they had porn stars in there to make the sex stuff also going on in the background more realistic. Because there's a bunch of like sodomy and other stuff going on in there and sex stuff going on. And it was all cut.
Did you ever see Perfume?
No.
No, that ends in an orgy.
No, I was going to say, this scene also really reminds me of a comic book series I read called Crossed, where people turn not into zombies, but into like mindless, violent sex freaks. And it just happens to like the world. And then it's very much similar in style to what I just described, is what they like, people's brains just go like total psychotic. And then they're just like start killing people or trying to rape them and all this stuff like that. It's crazy. But that was the main part. And then, like you were saying earlier, the crew, because there's Sam Neill and he's fighting Lawrence Fishburne, he grabs his head and he's like showing him scenes of his own crew being all tortured. Yeah. Like you said, apparently was like super vivid, really long.
Yeah, it's really like, cut it all out.
Yeah, and apparently, again, no one had the stomach for it.
That's fair. I mean, like, I don't really want to watch torture porn. Yeah, that's why I'm not like a fan of like Saw or Hostel or anything.
Well, Saw 1 was different, but the later Saws definitely get torture porny. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Like, it's they could have like one of the scenes that was cut was with Peter's when she hallucinates her son and he's like on the hospital bed and his legs are all like gimped and full of like maggots. Yeah. But in the film, it's very quickly cut. Like, she kind of looks down and it looks like he has like sores and then it's over. Apparently, there was a longer version of that. So it's like, again, maybe a little bit more time to
absorb.
Give the creep factor, but you don't have to go high-end gore like they do in that one scene.
Yeah.
Right? So
just
it's like,
cut that scene.
Yeah, just like, you can cut back, but add here and there.
Yeah.
Because apparently, like, the scene, like I said, someone does get flayed. What's his name? Jason Isaacs gets flayed, DJ. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if there was more to this scene, because it seems like there should have been, and there was. Yeah. He's like alive when Sam Neill starts like dissecting him, and apparently what happens is Lawrence Fishburne finds him and he's still alive, and all his guts are still actually attached to him, and he's hanging above a table. In the film, it's just like a flayed corpse, and then guts are just on the table. Nothing's attached.
Right.
And then Lawrence Fishburne shoots him in the head to like put him out of his misery. Oh. So again, far darker than what was depicted in the film. But I don't know, it was interesting on this rewatch because I've seen it a few times and I was kind of like, nothing was like horrifying and nothing was like scary, but it was enjoyable, but it wasn't like, it's not blown away. You know? Yeah.
For viewers that are listeners. I work a lot. I work like 6 days a week. I don't have a ton of spare time, and I just couldn't stomach watching 2 movies this week. That's basically what it came down to. So I picked Annihilation over Event Horizon.
Sure.
But I was trying to watch Event Horizon. I tried really hard. I even watched till the trailers, and the trailers ended up turning me off the movie even more.
Maybe that's what happened, because like I said, box office wise.
They just... the thing is, I'm sure that in 1997...
that too.
Should I investigate? Hang on.
Okay.
It's turning into a horror podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm sure in 1997, it was like a style of trailer that was cool.
Right, yeah.
But it's not anymore.
No, yeah. Even the score, the opening score and the end score, it's like... that sort of techno rockish, and I was like, oh, this score does not age well at all.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's just like, no, this is not age.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just like quick box office, like I said, apparently estimated $60 million to make the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's only made $26.673 million.
To date?
To date. So
And
that's pure box office. So maybe on DVD and etc. There's some cult following to it. It made back some.
In 1997, $16 million was actually worth $500 billion.
Yeah. Well, and there was like I think a cult following to this. In 2012, Paul Anderson announced he was going to release a full version.
Oh.
But they went and found apparently some of it wasn't archived well enough, and like some of the salt mines and stuff like that, and so there was.
Wait, the salt mines?
Yeah, they store a lot of film in salt mines because it absorbs moisture.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it keeps moisture out of the air, right? So it keeps film alive longer.
I didn't know that.
No, that's a thing. And,
they don't just have it all on digital now? I guess that would be a lot of work. That's a lot of movies.
No, well, now they could do that digitally.
Yeah.
But this was still shot on film, so.
I just figured that, I don't know, somebody went...
Yeah. No, some of it apparently was damaged, and they couldn't get a lot of it back, so he's like, there's never going to be a full release, as it were.
I still think it would work better as a miniseries. Like, if they remade it today.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, a 2-hour movie could work better. Keeping some of the gore, but then building up the tension and the scariness, because, Sam Neill's wife killed herself, probably because he worked too much on the ship. Mm-hmm. And all this stuff, right? So you could do some more emotion there, because etc. So
speaking of things that work better as other things, segue. I think Annihilation would have been a way better video game than it would have been a movie.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. The whole time that I watched Annihilation, I was like, this would be the coolest and creepiest game ever in the history of the world. And all of the complaints that I had with it, I think would be solved from it being a video game.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like maybe just no one want to take that project on, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But I just think that it would have been a superior platform for that story.
Well, Annihilation 2018, of course. Natalie Portman, Oscar Isaacs, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez, Tuba Norvathy, and Tessa Thompson. And written and directed by Alex Garland.
Who did Ex Machina.
Yeah.
So knowing that, going into it, I compared them.
Yeah, that's right. All I knew when I went to sell this movie, and I've mentioned it on the video, was literally that it was made by the guy who made Ex Machina, and Natalie Portman was in it. That was it. And I heard it was like a sci-fi movie. And I was like, okay, cool. That was all I knew.
Yeah, I thought Ex Machina was way better.
Sure, but
I know
we've talked about Ex Machina before.
I know, and you know that I love the movie.
Yes.
And I think it's almost a perfect movie.
Sure. No, Ex Machina is really great.
But Annihilation.
Yeah, synopsis. Go, Devin.
Oh, okay. Natalie Portman was in the army, and now she's a cancer doctor, teacher.
She's a professor.
Thank you. Her husband is also in the army, and he gets called on a mission. Mm-hmm. And then he shows up a year later without any word of where he's been. And then he gets really sick.
Yeah. He has no memory of where he's been either.
Yeah, no memory. And then the government intervenes when they try to go to the hospital. And they take her to a facility, and then she finds out that he was in the Shimmer, which is a thing.
It's a thing.
And everyone who's gone into the Shimmer has not returned except for her husband, who's now in critical care or critical death.
Yeah, he's dying.
Yeah. His organs are failing.
Yeah.
So her and a team are going to go into the Shimmer, to the lighthouse, find out what's up, and then come home.
Yeah.
And then shit goes down. I don't know.
Shit goes down. That's fair.
Yeah. So here we go.
Yeah.
It's a very pretty movie.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. It's worth watching.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is very good. I really like it.
No, I'm totally agreeing with you here.
The acting is great.
Yeah, it's weird because Natalie Portman's performance is like
weird.
It's weird, but it totally works.
Yeah.
In the movie.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And Jennifer Jason Leigh too, like she's all acting so weird. She was Ventress, the psychologist, the person who was running
she was really good too.
Yeah, she was good, but again, her performance is really weird, where she's just like cold and callous, but then sort of not, but then sort of totally is.
All of the characters are kind of cold and kind of exist independently of each other. If that makes sense. They're all on like their own kind of quest or journey, right? Yeah, but I mean, like, if you took out any one character and replaced it with a different character, it wouldn't change the dynamic of the group that much.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so...
Sorry, performances were great.
Performances were great. Interesting script. But I did not leave it super satisfied. Yeah. And I think, I think it would have worked really well as a video game.
Or again, as a miniseries?
No.
No? Oh.
No to this one being a miniseries. I think that it would have worked well as a video game because the visuals are so overwhelming that if you were allowed, if it was like almost a sandbox type situation where you had a mission to get to the lighthouse, but there was no clear path on how to get there, and you could explore the shimmer, that it would have worked because you would have been able to see all of those visuals and explore it a little.
Stare at it for 10 minutes and be like, what is that I'm looking at?
And there could have been, you could have still had altercations, like they ran into like a shark crocodile and like a bear thing at one point. Yeah. And those types of incidents could have still happened. Sure. But I think that it would have worked better on like an exploration level and getting to really absorb how beautiful they made the shimmer. Yeah. And like, the way that information was revealed in the movie felt like it would have flowed with the pace of a video game better for me. Right. And then the ending also, I think, would have been a satisfying ending if you were playing it as a game. Right. For me, it wasn't a satisfying ending as a viewer. Yeah. Yeah. So here's my... I already told Dan this off mic.
Yeah, no, it's... Well, before you continue, of course I agree with a lot of what Devin was saying. Like I said, I did a video way back about Annihilation. And
like a year ago.
Yeah, like a year ago. That, yes, the visuals are really good. And, like, it's not that there's little to look at, but what there is to look at is amazing to look at. Yeah. And then there are things, even on my second viewing this time, because I literally haven't watched this movie since it came out in theater, I just watched it again last night, where I was noticing subtleties that I totally didn't even see the first time. And like certain things that like are moving that they weren't before, and this and that, and like there's a lot of things going on in many of the shots, like Devin was saying, that you can't linger on because the characters move on or this or that, or they pan up a little bit and then you're like, wait, what did I actually see there? Yeah. Because your brain is still trying to figure it out because what they create is weird.
And gorgeous.
And gorgeous at the same time, yeah.
And it gets progressively stranger through the film.
Yes.
It's all based in reality, which makes it weirder. Because it's not like you're transported to an alien planet and everything is weird. It's like, starts off like 98% normal, 2% weird, and then that percentage just kind of grows until you reach the lighthouse.
Until you reach 100% weird.
Which is just all weird. But then at that point, you've kind of been slowly submerged into the weird.
Yeah. And then, like Devin echoes, the soundtrack's great, the visuals are great.
The soundtrack is weird, too.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It totally works with it all.
Doesn't sound right. Yeah. And it works so well.
Yeah, the pacing is really good. I really overall enjoy this movie a lot. Everyone should watch it.
Yeah, I think it's worth watching. Yeah. But I have problems with it.
That's all right. Let's get into some problems, I guess, with it.
Okay, the top 3 problems.
Yay!
Number 1, and this might be an issue with my television. I found it really dark and hard to see when shit was going on. Yeah. There's one scene in particular where there's a girl who cuts herself, and she has scars on her arm.
Yeah, she is a cutter, sorry.
Yeah, she is a cutter.
I was going to say, she's not cutting herself in the film. Yes.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Yes, she has cut herself
on her arm, and she starts to grow grass out of it, which makes sense in the movie.
Yes.
Sorry, spoilers, I don't care. Yeah. And I thought that she maybe just had a piece of grass on her arm.
Right, like just something fell on her.
Yeah, and I couldn't quite connect what was happening, and I don't know if that's just because it seemed really dark and hard to like make out details.
Well, I was saying that scene particularly, it's very subtle when she's standing there just talking to Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
You can kind of see a little bit of like green or brown going on, but of course she's dark skinned.
Yeah.
And then when she like has her arm down, you can kind of see again a little bit, but it's very subtle, very quick. And the standing up one is like a little harder to see, but it's more noticeable.
Yeah.
And then if you're like watching, you can put two and two together, pay attention, then you're like, wait a second.
I would have missed it entirely if Tony, because I watched it with my husband, if he hadn't pointed it out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she's growing shit on her. I'm like, no, she's not. Don't be fucking stupid. And then she turns into a tree. So.
Yeah. And again, like I was saying, it might not just be that it might be like a second viewing, you would pick up on these things more.
Yeah,
because I don't think the first time, I remember seeing the grass in her arm the first time, or I was like, also like, wait, I was like, is that grass coming out of her arm? But I definitely didn't see anything else on her. But this time I was like, oh, okay, you can definitely see like there's some more structure going on, like, and protrusions.
Yeah.
To the first time I viewed it.
But that wasn't the only time.
Yes, this is one specific example.
That was one. The other example was there's a guy that's kind of grown into a wall, and you get kind of like a long shot of it at first, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I thought there was just a hole in the wall or something.
Right.
And then like even like on like a mid shot, I was like, I still can't really see what this is.
Yeah.
And then when it wasn't until like they had a close up where it was like, look, dude's grown out of a wall, that I could tell what was going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they did that specifically to disorient you, but Tony seemed to be able to see. I don't know, maybe it's my eyes. Maybe I should have worn my glasses to watch it.
I don't know. Like I was saying, I feel like this was potentially a technology issue because
but Tony could. Maybe it's just me.
I could see it clearly when I was watching it again.
Oh no!
I saw it in theater, and usually the colors can be muted in theaters a little more. But it was still pretty visually striking.
I don't know. I had a hard time. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna strike that from my.
Well, we'll make it like 0.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because maybe it's just me. Maybe I should wear my glasses. Okay. Number two.
Right.
There was no payoff for me.
Yeah.
It was a slow burn that fizzled out. And I like slow burns in movies when there's a payoff.
Right.
Like when you're having like there's very little I like more in a movie than when it's like slow paced and stuff happens slowly and it's just a little like there's a little bit at a time, and then there's like a big payoff for it in the end. Mm-hmm. But this movie, even though there's like a pretty big climactic scene, there was no payoff for me.
Yeah.
It just was.
It just ends.
And like, okay, I'm going to compare it to something that Dan hasn't seen, and I hope that I don't.
Oh.
Okay, I'm watching Maniac on Netflix right now.
Oh, yeah.
I am 6 episodes into the 10 episodes. And for people who aren't familiar, it's starring Jonah Hill, Emma Stone, thank you. Basically, it's a sci-fi, and I guess I'd call it a hard sci-fi, where there's a drug/computer matrix type thing where you can rewire your brain so that you don't have mental disorders.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. Or you can like rewrite past trauma or something.
Oh.
It's a really weird show because the acting, the script for the most part, and the visuals indicate that this is an expensive, hard sci-fi show. But in every episode, there's at least 1 or 2 jokes that are like bad 90s sitcom jokes or almost like slapstick. Like there's a doctor in it who has like an addiction to masturbating, and he's got like, I don't know, there's like a really long scene where he's in a virtual reality thing and he's got like a weird penis pump device that's electronic, and you get a shot around his apartment and like there's like an apple pie with like a hole cut out, like
right.
it doesn't fit the rest of the tone of the show. And I know that I haven't finished it yet, but it makes me wonder if these weird things, like the reason I keep watching it is because I feel like it will be so good if in like the last or second to last episode they reveal that this humor with the tone that doesn't fit it,
there's a reason.
That there's a reason for it, and the reason is science or whatever, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a slow burn that would be confusing and give good payoff, and not necessarily, and like potentially alienate people from watching the show.
Yeah.
And I feel like Annihilation was set up with a slow burn like that.
Yeah.
And there was no payoff at all. It was just like, it was so flat and almost predictable, but not, I don't know. And
it's interesting because the studio wanted the ending changed.
Really?
And the producer had final cut and final say about the movie.
Oh.
And he agreed with Alex Garland and was like, no, we're not changing it.
What did they want to change it to?
They didn't. It doesn't. My research doesn't specify.
Oh.
They just wanted something different. They wanted, or at least they wanted some changes made to the entire film to make Natalie Portman more sympathetic. And they were like, no, we like it the way we wrote it.
Yeah, I don't mind her not being sympathetic.
Yeah, no, but like you said, the ending was specifically something that they were like, we want something different. But I don't even think they wrote a difference because they were like, no, that's not what we wrote.
All right.
And then that's just it. Like,
because like Ex Machina, I know that I shouldn't like compare them, but a lot of people don't like the ending because they feel like the robot and the man should have been in love.
Right, but they were clearly not paying attention.
Run off together. But that wasn't the point of the movie.
Yeah.
And like the point is that
she wanted to be free.
She got free, right?
Yeah, she wanted to be free.
That's the point of the movie.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel like there wasn't.
Yeah, because Natalie Portman initially is set up like because she wants to go into Shimmer to figure out what the heck happened to her husband.
Yeah.
She learns later into the film, right before the end, essentially, that the man she met isn't her husband.
Yeah.
He's dead.
The man that came back.
The man that came back is not her husband. It's a clone or something from the Shimmer.
Yeah.
A clone, let's just say, for simplicity's sake.
That was a good scene, though.
Oh my goch, it's so intense. He's just like, hey, you ever see what happens with a phosphorus grenade? And you're like, whoa, what are you talking about here, guy?
Yeah. Also, it was interesting, and in one of the reviews I watched about it, Oscar Isaac changes his accent to a southern accent because he's absorbed other people.
Other people, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't know himself essentially anymore. And then, so anyway, my point was Natalie Portman was set up the entire time because she's like, I gotta go in there to figure out what the heck happened to him, try to fix him, because I'm a doctor, scientist, soldier. She learns that it's not him anymore. But she herself throughout the entire journey is now altered by the Shimmer, and then and the movie just ends like that.
Yeah.
And so, I could see what you're saying, where there is no... did she fix him? Did she not? Through her actions ends the Shimmer, but how is that related to the clone?
Yeah.
We don't know.
I don't understand because...
Yeah.
Which brings me to my third complaint.
Okay, yeah, I can roll right into it.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Natalie Portman destroys the Shimmer.
Yes. That we know of, anyway. Or, the part of it that's affecting the outside world, let's say.
Yeah. So when she finds the lighthouse, she crawls through a hole.
Very Geiger.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I love it. And also, I don't know if you noticed, again, maybe it was too dark, but a lot of it moves, which I didn't notice on my first viewing.
No, I did notice that, actually.
Good. That's good, then.
Yeah. So, Captain...
Oh, sorry.
Cranky Pants, what's her name?
Which one? Ventress?
Yeah, Ventress.
Here was my question about that scene with Ventress, okay? And even watching it again, I could have rewound it, but I just didn't bother.
Yeah.
When she is first there and talking...
She has no face, right?
Yes, that's her eyes are covered up, right? That her face is just blank, and she's and then she turns around, but her eyes are there, and she's talking normally, and I was like, wait, didn't she have no eyes a second ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't just me.
Is that her fucking clone, or
I don't think she's been cloned at that point.
Why were there... Okay, anyways. Okay,
so she crawls into the
She crawls in there. Captain Ventress is down there having a fit. And then she's like, blah, 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 annihilation.
Yeah, apparently the words that she say, I don't know if I copied it down, but they're from a book. And then it's like the words she say actually are like the start and ends of like a couple different books that in a series. And that talk about like end times and like sort of it all fits the theme essentially.
Okay.
So the psychologist would have like known them essentially.
So it's not like blah 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 movie title.
Yeah, no, there was actually something more going on.
Blah 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 movie title.
Yeah.
And then she explodes kind of.
She expunges light.
Yeah. And turns into a big voidy
it's like
god thing.
Yeah, it's like a weird cross between a tesseract and like a Play-Doh that just continuously moves and is lit from the inside by the power of the sun.
Yeah. And so Natalie Portman looks into it, and then some blood comes from close to her eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess she cut herself at some point. I could see that.
No, somebody said it was like the shimmer was taking the blood, like it had poked her. But
I would just always just interpret that she would cut herself. Like,
there's no cut there though. Whatever. Blood comes off of Natalie Portman's side of the bridge of her nose.
Yes.
And then it goes in, flips around a bunch, and then a shiny being comes out.
And I don't know if you know, that's the Asian robot from Ex Machina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the same actress.
Okay.
So it wasn't...
On a side note, I thought it looked awful.
Oh, really?
I thought it looked like the bad guy from Reboot. That's how it looked to me. But again, maybe that's my TV.
Yeah.
Anyways, she runs away, it follows, they have a fight, she figures out it's just mimicking her.
Yeah.
It touches her, it turns into her, she puts a phosphorus grenade in its hand and pulls the pin and runs away.
Yeah.
It catches on fire-ish.
Yeah.
It wasn't really fire, it was like white.
Well, it's white phosphorus.
Yeah.
Which is like a chemical fire.
Oh, okay.
Basically, if I were...
And then...
or just as depicted.
And then it touches stuff and it all catches on fire, and then the lighthouse catches on fire, and then all the crystal trees outside catch on fire.
Yeah.
Then it explodes, and then the shimmer is gone.
Yes.
And when that happens, her husband clone is cured.
Yeah, we're not told the timeline of like... But they just say like, oh, he's feeling better now, kind of thing.
Yeah, I took it as he was feeling better once the shimmer was destroyed.
Like immediately?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
either way, he gets better.
Here's my third problem with it.
Yeah.
For a movie that sets itself up as hard sci-fi, not science fantasy, not any of this bullshit.
Yeah.
I left it feeling like it was a power of love ending.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it.
No.
And I just feel like that kind of ending is in a science fiction where you have like fucking Reese Witherspoon and Colin Firth and they're on a spaceship and she saves them with the power of love. I'd be fine with that. I would think it was an awful movie, but I would be fine with it. I don't want it in this movie.
Right, I never, again, and I think we talked, I didn't
Why did it
as such, but...
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, no, you're...
Why did it destroy him?
Yes, that's
He's Shimmer guy.
Well, and that's where I was saying that potentially my idea was that he, again, has changed enough so that he's not fully dependent on the Shimmer anymore. He's absorbed enough of Earth that he's partially human. She's absorbed enough, she's partially Shimmer now. Right?
So why didn't it destroy the Shimmer part of them?
Well, again, maybe it's like it can live on in them, like in humanity.
I don't like that.
You know, so many things, so much sci-fi stuff where it's like humanity, we're adaptable, we absorb, we survive, right? Like so, you know, what's crazy is as I've read the books that this is based off of. The
and it
Southern
made more sense?
Yes, of course, but the Southern Reach trilogy. No, but in the second book. Because the first book is basically follows the Natalie Portman character. She's actually just a pure biologist. She was never a soldier.
Okay.
As well.
That adaptation makes sense for the movie, though.
Yeah, no, I was totally fine with it. It totally works. But basically, in the second book, it's about different characters, and they eventually end up in the third book. I think I want to say. Yeah, in the third book, they end up back in the Shimmer, and they find the biologist, aka Natalie Portman, still living in the Shimmer. And she's mutated into basically like this sea creature because she's been in the Shimmer so long that she's not even human anymore, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think the idea that is, she's been changed and adapted, I'm okay with it, right? So, And also, interestingly, talking about the book, is Alex Garland never reread the book while adapting the movie. He wanted it to appear like a dream of the book, essentially. So it was like a two-time remove adaptation. So it's surprising that it was actually so close.
You know what? Okay, so when I watch movies, I try to figure out what's going on.
Sure.
It's just what I do. And the worst one ever was, did you see Inside Job with Clive?
No, you told me about that though, yeah. Like you were like, oh, blah, in like 10 seconds in.
Yeah, like in the movie titles, I was like, oh, he's in the bank the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's what it is. That's a twist. And then people like freak out about it and like, it's fucking stupid. Anyways, alienating our listeners, one person at a time.
Yep.
So I'm like trying to figure out what's going on in the movie, and some of my theories I think would have been a better movie.
Well, sure. I mean, that's kind of one of the things that's great about sci-fi films and imagination. Like, I mean, you and I talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Like, we spin stories and theories for movies that would probably have been better in the end.
Yeah.
That is just like, why didn't they just do this? It would have been simple and it would have made sense.
So my first thing was, because it does have a very dreamlike...
Oh, yeah. And again, maybe on a better TV, everything's very purplish in the movie.
No, it was beautiful, and it had a very dreamlike style, especially since like you get flashbacks and blah blah blah. So my first thing was, as soon as they were, sirens. Okay, as soon as they were in the shimmer, and they wake up in the tents, and they're like, whoa, it looks like 4 days have passed.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. They're going to do a fucked up timeline. It's going to be like Westworld season 1 fucked up, and you're not going to know what's going to happen. And when you get to the end and you get that payoff when you figure out the sequence of events, it's going to be so good. And then that's not what happened.
Yeah.
And then, so that was one of my things.
I did like that for myself, like almost like on a meta thing where, like I mentioned in the video, where it's like every time they wake up, you don't know if it's literally the next day or not. They could have been there for like days and just not remembered that fact. Because even when Tessa Thompson becomes like a grass creature, it's like that change seems like it would be like way too fast. But maybe they were there for days. Right?
Yeah, and when you get that shot of the outside of the house the second time, the house is mostly tree at that point, where it was more house when they went in.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I like that from that point where it's like, because at the end, Benedict Wong or whatever, he's like, no, you were in there for like 4 months or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So I liked that as well. But anyway, continue. There was no timeline backing thing, essentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I can't remember what drew me to, like, what made me think that there was going to be clones in the movie really early on.
Really?
I thought, and it was one of the most beautiful scenes in, like, just visually, but when Natalie Portman and other doctor lady were in the canoe together talking about their troubled past, I thought that Dr. Lady was part Natalie Portman. Like, I thought she was like, because they look kind of similar.
Yeah, they both have like narrower face or like
and I was trying to remember if like in like before they went into the shimmer, if like she had only spoken directly to Natalie Portman,
right? Or
if like I was trying to figure it out because I'm like, is this a Tyler Durden situation? Like, is she like a clone of Natalie Portman? Did Natalie Portman split off somehow? So I thought that would have been. I don't know what it was, but like at that moment I'm like, oh, she's a copy. And I have no idea why. And then there ends up being a copy at the end.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Overall though, I enjoyed it, I think.
Like I said, I definitely enjoyed the movie for sure, and then on the second viewing, very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, maybe I still watch it again.
Yeah,
on a
brighter TV
with my glasses.
I still really enjoyed it the second time, and that's actually kind of interesting. Like, would have been a neat idea. There were some ideas that were in the book that, of course, weren't in the film, and then I thought they could have benefited maybe, because in the book especially, they discover essentially that they're all being hypnotized a lot.
Oh.
So then that, like, when they go to enter the shimmer, there's only actually one specific entrance. And so it's not like they can just like walk in anywhere and go in.
Yeah.
So there's only one specific entrance, and they're actually all hypnotized through it to not remember, because apparently it's like super torturous to even cross it. And Ventress is the only one awake, and she like directs them through the entrance, so that's why they all don't remember going in. They're just like suddenly in. And I was like, okay, like so, and then basically that's where it starts to create gaps in their time there, because they're like being hypnotized to like forget things and to go along with the group because the psychologist has implanted them with all like subliminal commands to just be like, oh, if they're getting out of line, she can just say some words, and then they're like, oh yeah, no, let's totally go like that way.
Yeah.
And then the biologist character gets infected by the shimmer early on, and then she starts becoming resistant to the hypnotic commands, and then starts to like work against psychologists, right? So it was just like some of those ideas could have been neat. I think that's actually kind of would have been a neat idea as well, that if she wasn't real almost in a sense, and then she was just a projection of Natalie Portman.
That's totally what I thought.
Like they don't remember it, or they don't even, they were never clued in that she wasn't there essentially.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh, she's part of the team, but she was like a clone the whole time. Like, yeah, that would have been kind of a neat. It would have been harder to execute though, because they could have done that, because she could have not been on the bench scene with the characters before they go in. They're like, oh, we're getting joined by like one other person. Because actually in the book there is another character that's supposed to go but gets dropped at the last second.
Oh.
And then Natalie Portman like takes her spot essentially, right?
Right.
So there were like they could have done something subtle to like that, where it was like, oh, we're gonna get joined by like this other whatever profession, physicist or geologist or whatever, and then this clone comes along and then it is like, oh no, I'm like another blah, and then as the audience you'd be like, wait, was she that same girl that they were talking about or not? That could have been an interesting kind of take.
Anyways, that was what I thought.
Yeah, well, because the movie very much plays up the duality of things, of course, when she sees the two deer, and like, you know, there's all the everything's getting mixed and cloned.
It's like, oh my god, it's the god from Mononoke.
From Mononoke, yeah, exactly. Pretty sure he was inspired by that.
He's gonna turn into the night thing. Guys, be careful.
And of course, I think we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't talk about the bear.
Oh my god, so the best horror scene. The thing that makes the movie a horror movie?
I mean, obviously the alligator attack is kind of interesting. I thought it was kind of neatly executed, because she just gets ripped into the house initially, and you're like, holy jeez.
And I wondered, like, I guess he grabbed her
backpack, that's because she says the whole time, it's like, oh, it's got my backpack.
Yeah.
And then
the discovery that it has like
sharp
multiple thingies in his mouth.
Yeah.
That was well
That was
done.
pretty cool. And then of course, it leads to eventually they're at this base, and they're it's Ventress and Natalie Portman, and then they hear like a growl, and then they look at the fence, and she's like, oh man, the fence is like ripped open. And then classic horror movie style, more people come, and then one of them just gets owned by this bear.
Natalie Portman's clone.
Yeah, she does get just dragged off into the woods.
But that's not the scene I was talking about.
No, but it's the introduction of this bear, that there is this menacing thing out there.
Yeah, mean little bear.
Yeah, and then it comes back.
And it screams like a person.
It screams like that woman. What was her character's name? Was it Shepard?
Yeah, Shepard.
Yeah, I think it was Shepard, yeah.
But it's the creepiest thing ever.
Yes.
And they're all tied to chairs, and this bear's like in their face, and Natalie Portman's like, don't react. I'm like, it's gonna just eat you. Like, it doesn't matter if you react or not.
Well, it's just, you don't want to make it mad. But that's so well executed in that, because like Devin said, they're all in these chairs, there's a big intense thing, and all of a sudden you hear a scream. It's a woman scream, and then the one character who's not tied up is like, oh my god, I'm gonna go save you, and then you just hear like a roll, and you're like, well, she's gone.
That's not a good sound.
And then all of a sudden, like the big shadow, and then there's this bear, and the way they animated it, of course, it's got like a skull protruding from its face and these huge fangs. Like imagine, like the ancient bobcat fangs, essentially.
It's creepy as fuck.
Oh yeah, it's so excellent.
Yeah.
And I saw the movie in theater, and like I said, it was just dead silent that whole time. Like the whole movie, it was pretty quiet, but that scene especially, it was just like, oh my god. Even seeing it again the second time, I was just like, couldn't look away. I was just like, it's so intense.
The concept of having like an animal roar,
be human
is just kind of it.
And it's not just a roar, it's also like screaming like, help me, and like, save me, and all these things, and it's just like, it's horrifying.
Because what they end up coming to the conclusion of is that her like final moments of consciousness got transferred to this bear.
Got merged with this bear.
Yeah.
Or her consciousness partially is merged with this bear.
Yeah.
Which is creepy.
Oh my god, yeah.
But yeah, it's this great scene, and I don't know, it's gotta be like 5 minutes long at the most, but it's intense.
It's the right length.
Yeah,
because
it's super
if it was
intense.
too long, it wouldn't be as creepy.
Yeah.
And if it was too short, it would be another thing that I'd be complaining about not understanding what I saw.
Yeah, it was pretty great and well executed. You know, obviously I assume it's mostly CG set for a couple times when it's interacting with some people, but well built, well constructed, well done.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the book, there's mention of a creature like this, but she never gets like a good view of it.
Oh.
Like at one point, it's like chasing her like down a path or whatever, and she like dekes off the path, and then she manages to like evade it, but it's like always like hidden in the shadow. You never know what it looks like. It just sounds like something kind of a thing. So yeah. Good. Well, and then that was one of the things with the crocodile or the alligator with the shark type teeth is that the area described crocodile. The area described is called like the Southern Reach or it's Area X, but it's like an area where swamplands meet ocean.
Yeah.
So that's why there's like ocean influences in it. Like there's dolphins that she sees later in the book.
Yeah.
And they start looking not like dolphins anymore because they're being affected by the shimmer. And so
I don't think we mentioned it, but the shimmer, the way they describe it is basically like a prism.
Yeah.
That like everything sucks up together.
It refracts inwards. So all light, all DNA, all radio signals are all being reflected inwards and being mixed essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Natalie Portman discovers her own DNA is getting changed. Like I said, Tessa Thompson, she becomes a tree person or a tree.
There's like a scene where they cut open a dude and he's got snakes in him. Yeah,
that's totally not fully sure what's going on in his stomach there, but it's obviously awesome and intense.
Yeah, well, it looks like snakes crawling around. At first I was like, is that like his intestines? Because those look stupid and fake.
Well, and that's well, it was definitely very CG, of course, but I think that was almost the implication because then when the one character, Gina Rodriguez's Anya Florenson, she's like, I can see my hands move, I can feel myself moving. If I cut myself open, will my intestines be moving? So it could have been the intestines. Either way, it was pretty cool. Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about it was how Oscar Isaacs, not the other Isaac.
Poe Dameron.
Yeah, Poe Dameron. It must have been because of the CG, like how his hand was kind of like the way it was interacting with his hand. I didn't really like.
Yeah.
But the way the snake / intestines were interacting with his hand were really good.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually filmed Star Wars and this at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they were both filmed in the UK. So.
That's cool. Yeah. Does the director just have like a crush on him?
Apparently, he likes to work with like the same people that he likes to work with.
That's cool.
Included Oscar Isaacs, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Oh no! I had a thought when I was watching the movie, and this doesn't really have anything to do with the movie, but when you're watching the movie beginning to end, regardless of whether it's like in the real world or in the shimmer, the style of the filming and everything is beautiful, but it's also like it comes across as a serious movie. Yeah. And I had like a thought. I'm like, what if we got a sci-fi that was filmed like a comedy, like in that kind of like with that genre expectation, but then like 3/4 of the way in you got to reveal that it was actually like hard sci-fi the whole time.
Well, I'm sure there are probably examples out there.
Couldn't think of any. Can you?
That's fair. Nothing off the top of my head, but I don't know.
Get out. No.
I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I had a couple notes about it here, like just some box office numbers again. So it was estimated $40 million, and it's only made $32.73 million.
Ooh. Yeah, no, it looks expensive, so there you go.
Yeah, well, I think it's expensive, but then he uses his budget pretty wisely. It's the same like Ex Machina, right? Like, it's probably, it was made on like a shoestring, and there's still enough effects in there that it looks really good. So yeah, there was a clash, like I was saying before, between the producer, Scott Rudin, and David Ellison, the financier at Paramount, and there was a change of leadership at Paramount. So this is, I think, what plays into its weird numbers, because they made a deal with Netflix to internationally distribute it. And Paramount released it in the US and Canada, North America, and China. And then Netflix would stream it 17 days after that around the rest of the world. Oh. So it was like, this was a movie that for sure you needed to see in theater, in my opinion anyway. Yeah. or at least not like on a bigger screen, because like you said, the visuals are so striking and the sound.
I think I would have benefited from seeing it in the theater.
I think so as well, and I think a lot of people would have. And it was just one of these movies. I guess they just didn't think it was going to do well, or because of the clash, that they're like, oh, it's going to be terrible. Because, like I said, they wanted to change it because they thought the movie was too intellectual and too complicated, and they wanted a wider audience appeal to the movie.
I mean, I guess I could understand that.
But there's not a lot of science gobbledygook in this movie, which is nice. Like, there's a couple...
But there isn't, but there's also not a lot of, like, serving it up on a plate what's going on.
No, absolutely.
Right.
But I feel like you said, the pacing and the story is doled out in such a manner that you can follow along what's going down, right?
Yeah.
So...
I still think it would have worked better as a video game.
Yeah, fair enough. And then... so yeah, it's just, I feel like it's really weird that it's too bad it never got a chance to be a wide release, because like I do highlight in my video, it's like we don't get these movies very often anymore.
That's
and when
true.
we do, and if they're worth watching, it'd be great if more people went and watched them. Right? Because then they would maybe make more of them instead of not making them. Because as a sci-fi fan myself, I very much enjoy the non-action schlock sci-fi.
Yeah.
And even something like this that dips into the horror sci-fi with the crocodile bear attacks and etc. And even just like again, they could have played it up, but they didn't so much, like, the mutations and stuff like that. Like when even she's like, oh, I can see my hands moving, but there was never a scene where like her hand is doing something weird, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's literally just her looking at her hands.
I guess it's kind of like body horror too, especially with like dude growing out of the wall. And...
Exactly, right? Like so they didn't play that up. Maybe again it was a budget thing, or it was just like the very subtle, not the subtle, but the striking visual nature they wanted to go for, and I love it.
Or if we got maybe like one more clip of Oscar Isaac feeling like he's losing his sense of self.
Yeah.
That might have been interesting.
Yeah, it would maybe been hard to work in, like, or maybe like once they got to the town, they found some kind of other relic left over from the previous team, or like maybe him and one other dude make it, right?
Yeah.
Make it that far, and then, like you said, there could have been a little bit more exposition, or he's like, I'm going to the lighthouse, but I don't even know what's going on anymore, or something. Right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe could have added to it. Maybe helped the audience along a little more or something.
Yeah. There's breadcrumbs that could have stuck in there.
Sure. Well, it's interesting because obviously, like the whole, like we were talking about, the theme of self-destruction, and they keep on flashing back to Natalie Portman having an affair, but her husband's gone.
But didn't she have the affair before he was gone?
I think it's ambiguous because she says that one scene or that one line where he's like, "Oh, does your husband know?" And she's like, "Yes," but I think she's just saying that to get rid of him.
Yeah, I did like that word.
She's just like, "Get out of here."
What she says at one point, and he's like, you just don't like yourself or something. And she's like, I don't like you either.
Yeah, she's like, he's like, you just hate yourself or whatever. She's like, no, I hate both of us. So
good.
Yeah. So I don't know, it's ambiguous when this affair took place, right, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Or what was I saying here? I think like maybe some of those scenes, it either could have been cut back.
Yeah.
And then they could have used it to do something more in the shimmer or something. I don't know. Like you said, maybe another flashback of something else could have helped the audience along, or at least revealed a little more. But maybe it was a time constraint. Maybe Oscar Isaac just didn't have the time to shoot more stuff, right? Like,
yeah, that's fair. I didn't think that the movie suffered because they didn't have that.
Yeah.
But I think it would have made it, I guess, like a little bit more palatable for people who aren't used to sci-fi.
Yeah, like maybe, especially after Tessa Thompson turns into a tree, and then we get the another flashback about the affair, and then it cuts back to Portman and she's just crying in the shimmer. Mm-hmm. Like you said, that if there was another scene of her seeing more stuff from her husband, then there would be like more emotional impact about why she's breaking down, and she's like, no, I gotta get there, like my husband, etc. Yeah, so it could have helped it along maybe a little bit more. Because again, those cuts, we don't know how much time has passed. She's literally just like crying in the middle of the shimmer. She doesn't know if she looks like where she is. We don't know where she is.
Yeah.
She's just there. So, I mean...
I had a thought and then it left my head and I don't remember what it was.
Like I was saying, I've read the books. I would recommend reading the books. I didn't know that they were books until after I saw the movie. But yes, continue, sorry. Okay.
I think one of the things that I disliked about the ending, I just pinpointed it now.
Okay.
Is that when they hug, right before the credits roll, and we get a close-up of each of their eyes, and it flashes a little bit, like
multicolor,
they have a shimmer in them.
Yes.
I think that bothers me a lot because that's the type of shit you see when they're gonna make a crappy sequel.
Right.
Where they try to take over New York or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Well, and that's how I kind of almost interpreted it, is that the alien force is in these two and will continue on, and we don't know what's going to happen now.
I would have preferred something a little bit more ambiguous.
Right.
Than...
Well, I think it's still pretty ambiguous, because it's like, we don't know. They might die. They, like, because, like, they've been exposed to this alien force thing. Like, he was dying, you know, potentially a week ago. They might just, like, die, or, like I said, maybe
at the end
they'll have a kid.
Machna.
Yeah.
When she walks out across the street.
Yes.
Like, that's like, well, is she gonna go destroy mankind, or is she gonna go get a sandwich? Who knows? But I don't know, the close-up, if they could have shown that they still have the shimmer in them without it being that shot, I might have been okay with it. But it just smells...
How do they make that? How do they show that then?
I don't know.
Okay.
Wasn't it enough just that he was alive?
Yeah. Well,
and she has a tattoo.
She has the tattoo now, yeah. Which, of course, that was from the other character. I don't know. I think it was Jason Isaacs. Jason Isaacs. Isaacs, but he didn't need much from him. But I did like it with the Portman to just drive it home that it's like, she is not human anymore.
Yeah. Oh no.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I didn't know.
She might as well just looked at the camera and winked and had her eyes turn purple. That's basically on par with what happened.
Okay.
For me. It's like, hey guys, I'm human.
Well, maybe Alex Garland couldn't think of something else to do. You know,
yeah, and I'm not really one to critique him because I don't make movies at all. And I did enjoy it, and I do enjoy the other movie he made.
Right.
Mechna.
Well, and then, like I said,
done anything else?
I think maybe one other. I didn't really delve into his credit line very much, but definitely the two. But I was going to say, I didn't know there were books. Read the books after I had seen the movie, of course. They were quite interesting, worth the read.
Yeah.
The name of the author is Jeff Vandermeer.
Is he alive or dead? Was it recently?
He's alive. No, he's
recently.
Yeah, and he's got another one out as well. That was the thing as well, is that the second book wasn't even published when they were making the movie.
Oh.
So
I wonder what he thinks of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. So there's things in there because like I said, there's reveals later on that could have played into the first movie.
Yeah.
Or into this movie. Not saying that they were going to continue making them, obviously not on that numbers.
No, they're totally making a sequel because they showed the eye.
Well, and then as you read further and further along, it's like it would be like unfilmable practically. Right?
Okay, fair enough.
Or it would just be like they'd have to obviously pare it down, and that's fine. But it gets weird. And the hypnotism thing really plays up, especially in the second book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very much a huge theme in the book.
Tony really liked it because he thought it had a Lovecraftian feel.
Yes.
Again,
yeah, it's just something, and they talk a little bit about, sorry not to interrupt, but it's in the book, we reveal a little more, but as well they talk a little bit about, it's just an alien force that doesn't know or care that we're there.
Yeah.
Which is very Lovecraftian.
Yeah, totally, right? It's just doing its thing.
It's just doing its thing.
Just being a shimmer.
I think a lot of sci-fi horror especially...
I wish she didn't destroy the shimmer. I think I would have liked that ending better.
Well, this is a book spoiler.
Yeah.
They don't destroy the shimmer. It basically takes over the world in a sense.
Oh, good.
And it's her and her clone and one other character, and they walk out of the Southern Reach, and then they're trying to find the edge of the shimmer, and then it's just basically they don't.
Cool.
Yeah. If I recall correctly, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Basically, it's I was okay with it. Just because I thought it was again, she was there, because that was Tessa Thompson's point, was that she's you're here to fight it.
Yeah.
And so, she fought. She fought with what she knew she could try, and then, it worked. Cool. I thought maybe it would just burn the lighthouse, but then nothing else would, maybe alter too much or what have you. But yeah, no, when the trees all catch fire, it's all, again, visually amazing,
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, maybe it's better if you do acid or mushrooms first. Not that I'm suggesting that.
Yeah, I don't know. But,
We're a Christian podcast. Just
Yes.
kidding. I don't believe in anything. Oh, that was the other thing that kind of bugged me is that I just don't want God in my sci-fi. And the glowing sphere at the end, even though I know it wasn't God, but
Right.
kind of had, because it created something, kind of had a gaudy feel to it.
well, sure, it's like,
I just don't like it, you know?
it was like a crucible type imagery.
It was like that one episode of the X-Files where they let Gillian Anderson direct it, and she I don't know, Scully has a spirit baby and the power of Buddha's in her tummy or something.
I do not recall, unfortunately.
Oh, it was in one of the later seasons, and it was just bad. I don't remember the premise, but I do remember an image of her being all green, glowing, and her uterus being the center of peace and balance in the universe or some fucking stupid bullshit. Anyways, I don't like that kind of stuff.
Right.
So it got a little bit nah.
I was in. I enjoyed it immensely, and I liked the.
You know what would be
the
cool?
weird crucible. Yeah.
If the tunnel just went down and just kept going and just nowhere.
That's the book.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Maybe I should read the book.
The tunnel keeps going so far down, and they keep exploring it, and then eventually there is a creature down there that they identify as the spinner, and it's writing something on the walls in a weird material, and then it kills. It only kills someone if they try to interfere with it, and then eventually they do get past, and they do find a light, and then the book ends.
That sounds better to me.
Yeah, and basically it's you never find out, essentially, right? So again, he adapted it from this and took the idea of okay, there's a light down there, and then created a mimic creature.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman, right? So like I said, he's got to do something. If it was literally just if she exploded into a light and then nothing happened, people would have hated it even more.
That's fair.
It would have been Contact, right? Everyone's it's her dad. It's yeah, that's the point. But they would have been hating on it even more.
What if she went down the tunnel and then she got far enough away from the original light source and it was just black?
Yeah.
And then she goes to turn around and basically can't find her way out, and then it just cuts to credits. That would have been cool with that.
Yeah, she got stuck.
No resolution.
No resolution. Stuck and lost in the shimmer. Everyone dies.
Because listen, this is the message that nothing matters, and one day you'll be dead.
Well, and that's what I was saying. I feel the movie ends just it was about the journey, not the destination. That maybe the ending wasn't as satisfying as people would have liked, but the entirety of the journey was incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty.
To lead you along and through the events.
Yeah.
Speaking of course, I would recommend it, but we were mentioning other sci-fi horror films. Alien, of course. Well, Pandorum. It's underrated, or it's just not known. It's not really talked about. And I remember watching it, and I very much enjoyed it.
I think Pandorum was scarier than Event Horizon.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I mixed them up.
No,
it's because they're
cool.
in a submarine or something.
Well, it turns out it's underwater in Pandora.
Yeah, but it could be a spaceship.
Yeah, well, it is a spaceship.
It's an underwater spaceship. It's a water ship.
No, but it is a spaceship, but that just crashed underwater.
Oh, okay.
It is what we find out later in the film. But
yeah.
I recommend watching that one as well. And I'm trying to think of other good sci-fi horror that's not the... There doesn't seem to be that many that come out...
Let's Google it and see if I recognize any.
Well, there doesn't seem to be that many that come out as much these days. Even Annihilation, I almost don't classify it as horror, personally.
Yeah,
but it has some horror elements.
Yeah, I'd say it's...
I very much thought it was just pure sci-fi.
Queued up. Apparently I looked this up.
Oh, really? Nice.
Oh, apparently... It comes up as number 1 for sci-fi horror.
Annihilation?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because that's chronological.
Nope. Because Alien Covenant, or it goes Annihilation, Prometheus, Alien Covenant, but I wouldn't... Oh, Cloverfield. I guess that would count as sci-fi horror.
I heard 10 Cloverfield. Is it 10 Cloverfield Lane? The one with the John Goodman when they're trapped
Yeah, that's supposed to be really good, right?
Really good. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but.
Did you watch the first one?
No.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah, I was like, eh.
I'm
I was just meh about it.
I'm just not into shaky cam in the movie.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was meh about it.
They have Predators listed here.
Sure, Predator 1's good.
Splice.
Oh, yeah. The one where the guy has sex with his creation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you do. It does have Pandorum listed.
Yeah.
And 28 Days Later, which I guess it's not really sci-fi.
No,
though.
yeah. I mean, that zombie stuff is its own genre, right?
Yeah. It also has Slither listed. I guess that's because they're aliens.
Yeah.
Did you watch Slither?
No.
It's actually pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
I saw it being filmed.
Nice.
And Nathan Fillion's in it.
Oh, that's why you watched it.
Sexy. That is why I watched it.
I know.
I think I have it on DVD somewhere. The Thing?
Well,
That's kind of more horror than sci-fi, though.
yeah. Well, I mean, because it's an alien, so that, but it's
right.
yeah, but it's far more horror.
They have The Fly listed.
Yeah, and again, like, that's more body horror, but it's, he uses a sci-fi gadget to become a horror thing, right? So, like I said, the genre is very sometimes hit or miss about how defined it is, but...
They also have The Faculty listed.
Really? Well, aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah, there's aliens in it, so...
Haven't heard of a bunch of these. Frankenstein is not a sci-fi horror. Oh, I guess it kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, it's science fiction, right? So... Yeah, so like I said, we don't see this genre very much. There are some great examples, and I'm sure there are a lot of terrible ones. A lot of movies that try to copy Predator, of course, are terrible.
Yeah.
and Alien, right?
You said you had a fan theory about Event Horizon.
Oh, yes.
And I cut you off and started talking about Annihilation, so...
Oh, yeah, no, this one was cool, and I kind of can see this almost, because it turns out the writer for Event Horizon went on to work in the video game industry. So I can almost see this actually being that he would be a fan of this. Event Horizon actually has a very close tie to the Warhammer 40k universe.
Oh, I saw that.
Yes, because when you travel through the Warhammer 40k space warp,
Yeah.
unless your ship is properly shielded, you get infected by the forces of chaos, and your people go insane and start doing insane things. So the idea is that this was like one of the first ships to ever travel through the warp, and it was unshielded until humans eventually learned how to shield their ships correctly.
Interesting.
And a lot of the imagery is the imagery taken from like the 40k universe for like chaos marines and chaos world and chaos universe stuff. So it's like I could see the person who wrote this might have known that.
Being cool with it, yeah.
Yeah, he would have known this probably, and could have used a lot of that imagery for the film. And
did he just write the screenplay, or was it a...
He wrote the screenplay, as far as I can tell.
Was it a book? Or...
No, yeah, he wrote this. He wrote it on his own. His name is Philip Eisner, and apparently he was I think his wife died recently around the time he was writing this movie, so he was in a dark place, and then he wrote this kind of around that time.
Interesting that there's a dead wife in it.
No, that's what I mean. It was very much in like
cathartic.
Yeah. He really used those events when he wrote the movie.
Do you know that when... Sorry, speaking of stuff.
So I like that fan theory anyway.
That's a cool fan theory.
Yeah.
But did you know that when Anne Rice wrote her Interview with the Vampire, it was right after her daughter had died from leukemia?
Oh no, I did not know that. And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, doesn't it make a lot of sense?
Yes. Oh no.
Yeah.
I did not know that, no.
Yeah, I heard that in a video. I'm gonna have to fact check that to make sure that is actually true.
Yeah.
But, interesting, right?
Yeah, very. Yeah.
And that's why, like, Kristen Dunst's character is in it.
Claudia, I think.
Claudia, yeah. I think I have a graphic novel about her. I'm sorry, I'm like looking at my graphic novel shelf behind you. I might have got rid of it. Bad Devin.
Yeah. But anyway.
Got rid of like 200 books when I moved.
Yeah. It was cool fan theory. I like that one about Event Horizon. It was one of the things that makes me kind of like the movie more, even though it doesn't add to the movie Like, or it's like something outside the movie that adds to the movie.
Yeah.
Because you can watch it with that almost like that framing in mind, and then be like, oh, okay, yeah, like how messed up it all is, and all these things. And like you said, the ship's very church imagery, which the Warhammer 40k universe is very cathedral and gothic.
Yeah.
Horror.
I don't think I mentioned that actually in the podcast. I think we were talking about that before.
Yes.
But like a lot of the ship's interior was based off architecture in Notre Dame.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, and that's very much, like I said, with that framing, it all kind of almost clicks. It makes more sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And then, the spinning meat grinder that they go through to get to the engine room area, like, disoriented people, like, all the time and everything. Like, so they do, like, fixed camera shots, and, like, even Lawrence Fishburne has to do, like, a stunt where he, like, jumps through and he couldn't, like, orient himself correctly because it's all spinning all the time.
But there is no spoon.
Exactly, yeah. In a couple years, he'd be fine with that.
This is random, but did you know that... Did we talk about this already?
I don't know.
That there is no Spoon Betty guy in real life that was a fraudster that used to bend spoons.
Yeah.
Tried to sue the Matrix for putting that in there.
No, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because it was his intellectual property.
Right.
Bending spoons.
No.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, unless there's something else you want to share about Annihilation.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I talk too much about negatives because I don't think I like. Really,
You didn't have as many.
I don't really have like a glaring negative to the film, and really.
The thing is, like,
my point.
I'm not nitpicking, but
no, it's fine. Negatives
the complaints I have about the movie didn't ruin the movie. For me.
Yeah,
so I would still recommend people go see it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to watch.
Yeah, no, I'm not down on you having negatives. Everyone's got...
Yeah, you are. We're gonna fight now.
Everyone's got...
box just like Logan Paul and KSI.
Yeah, no.
Those are YouTubers.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had a drop.
Good for them.
Yeah, because they had a rematch scheduled before they actually fought.
Right.
So they kind of had it...
They're saying it's all staged.
I'm saying that YouTube isn't as real as you think it is.
What?
It's the Matrix.
Yeah.
I'll shut up. Okay. If you want to find us, we have a website. It's tomeofuselessness.com. We're also on Instagram. Tome of Uselessness. That's about it for what I post on semi-regularly.
That would be the best places to look.
Yeah. If you liked this, you can rate and review us on iTunes. And if you didn't like it, you can still do that, but it won't be as nice.
Yes.
And tell your friends. And download all our other episodes. Blah, blah, blah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Is what I have to say.
Good. Bye.